Hey everyone, it's your girl Paris and welcome to my channel. So in today's video, I am going to be sharing with you all the half payment method in order to pay your bills. Do you find yourself feeling under pressure because you are late paying a bill? Do you find yourself potentially dipping into your savings account for money that you should not be touching to pay your bills? Do you just feel under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress because the money in your checking account does not cover the bills that are due? I know it can be very hard out here. Prices are going up. Inflation is a real thing. I get it. But with the half payment method, it's going to relieve that anxiety and that stress. I have been following the half payment method for so long, and I find myself living comfortable. I find myself being happy. I find myself not feeling stressed on whether or not I can manage my funds to pay all my reoccurring bills. The half payment method will most likely work for you. You have to have discipline. You have to have drive and positive outlook that it can be accomplished. And you can have that positive outlook for anything, not just for budgeting for your bills. Having that positive outlook on life is going to be so rewarding for you in the long run. But in today's video, I think you will really enjoy it if you are looking for a new method, a new way to spend your money, a new way to budget your money, and a new way just to allocate where your money is going, where you can see your money coming in and see exactly where your money is going out. So if the half payment method sounds like something you'll be interested in hearing about and seeing, then keep on watching today's video. Alright, so with the half payment method, my first recommendation, I'm going to write it down as well. We want to ensure that we are opening up a checking or savings account, or you may already have a available checking or savings account in which you can save money for your upcoming bills into this account. I'm going to write this down. And I also recommend get yourself a budgeting binder or dedicate just a plain notebook to track your budget and your expenses. Pen or pencil, and of course a calculator. You can feel free to use your phone calculator. That way you can just save money and not buy another calculator. I just like the aesthetic of my budgeting setup, so that's why we are going pink. Pink candle and the pink calculator for the vibe, but it's totally not necessary. So let me write my first recommendation down, and that is to open a checking or savings account. Or if you have a checking or savings account that's available, perfect. The main reason you have to remember for opening this account is saving towards your upcoming bills. So let's write that down. You want to ensure that you use this checking account for this purpose only. And I would recommend to use this account for savings as well. If you want to add additional money into this account, perfect. Now I'm going to move on to my scenario in order to make this example clear for everybody watching. We are going to write down the net pay we are bringing home from our full-time job. Net pay. So our net pay is $2,310.78. We do have other obligations and deductions coming out, which is how we reached this number right here. We have our life insurance being deducted, taxes. We have financial allotments going to another account for additional savings. We have our dental. We have our vision being taken out. We have other obligations and deductions, and then once those are all deducted, we have our net pay that will be going into our regular checking account. We also work a part-time job. And for this example, we work part-time at a retail store. We get paid bi-weekly. And let me just add, we get paid bi-weekly at our part-time job, and we get paid bi-weekly from our regular job. Part-time job brings in $415.60. We always like to keep some type of balance in our checking account, our primary checking account. You never want to go below this number if you can avoid it, and you definitely do not want to go in the negative. For our checking account, we like to keep a balance of around $250 to $265. So currently in our checking account, we have a total of $265. So right now we're going to add our net pay from our full-time job plus our income from our part-time job and plus our current balance in our checking account. We have a total income of $2,991.38. I always like to check my math twice, so let me just write down our total. Alright, so the next step is to figure out when you want to implement the half payment method. For our income, we know it's roughly around this amount right here, the $2,991. It may fluctuate a bit higher, a bit lower, depending on how many hours you work at your part-time job and your account balance at the end of the bi-weekly pay periods. So we have decided to implement the half payment method for all of our April bills going forward. So what you want to write down is the following subject lines: due date, the name of the expense, the total amount of that bill or expense. The important part to focus on is the payment setup. So if we know all of our bills are going to be due in April, we want to dedicate 2 checks prior to April in order to save towards paying them off. We are going to pretend that we get paid bi-weekly, and our next check is going to be March 16th and then March 30th. So we're just going to write that down. Okay, I'm running out of room, but let me just write smaller. If you pull up the calendar, our bills are going to be due starting in April, but when we utilize the half payment method, we know that we get paid on March 16th and March 30th. So we are going to be saving half of the bill each of these pay periods. So let's get started with the actual scenario.
Cause I don't wanna hurt nobody. got love for your mommy. I know you wanna be somebody, even if you gotta leave somebody. Yes, I'm hurting, yes, I'm dirty. Most of the things I don't wanna say. I won't be around while you chase.
So I have all of my April expenses written out. I'm going to explain car insurance, food, eating out, and gas a little bit later on. I love the half payment method because you're not going to have to pay these expenses all on one check. That would be very tight, and you will feel very stressed because that will deplete your account a lot more compared to doing the half payment method. As you can see, we have to dedicate $1,102.87 to our mortgage. I like to round to the nearest dollar, so we're just going to say $1,103. For March 16th, I'm going to just write down $1,103. Our March 30th paycheck, we need to save $1,103. Remember the totals that we get right here? We are going to be transferring it to our checking or savings account, in which we are not touching. It's strictly dedicated towards saving for bills. So let me just grab my calculator and do the math for all of our expenses. For our credit card number 1, we owe $2,300. Usually our minimum payment is roughly $92. However, we want to get this card paid off sooner than later. So we are going to dedicate $220 per paycheck in order to lower this credit card. I highly recommend pay more than the minimum payment on your credit cards, because if you only pay the minimum, the interest rate is just going to keep getting higher and higher, and it's going to prevent you from paying a credit card off sooner. You're going to be paying a lot more in interest if you just keep paying the minimum. If you pay a higher amount and you can budget for that higher amount, I highly recommend to do so in order to get that credit card to a zero balance. And I also recommend to only charge items on a credit card in which you can pay off within, I would say, 2 to 3 pay periods if possible. However, I know emergencies happen and you have to have a credit card. The main thing here is just to be mindful and to really be careful and just do your due diligence before charging your credit card randomly. Have a purpose for that charge. Have a plan for that charge. For credit card number 2, we owe a balance of $780. However, we are going to pay above the minimum. We're going to dedicate $200 on this card bi-weekly in order to get it paid off faster. For our car insurance, we pay in full every 6 months. We do not pay month to month to month. If you check out my other budgeting video, I'll make sure to link it down below. I give my opinion on why you should pay in full. So our 6-month premium is $1,100. We have been saving towards paying our car insurance. We are dedicating $95 per paycheck in order to pay off our car insurance when it's due. You're not going to be stressed about coming up with $1,100 on the actual due date. We've been saving months ahead of time in the amount of $95 in order to pay this car insurance off. Through experience, it works wonders when you split your payments up and you plan for higher bills. For food and eating out, we are going to dedicate $115 per paycheck. This number will fluctuate depending on how often we eat out or how often we may carry our lunch into the jobs. This number can be a little higher or a little lower. For gas, we always usually dedicate $85 bi-weekly. And just because our car insurance, food/eating out, and gas does not have a particular due date, I highly recommend still saving it in your checking or savings account so you can have that cushion that you know this is what you like to do. You like going out to eat. And of course, we need gas for transportation. So it's just always a good idea to pre-plan and save the money ahead of time so it's available when you need it. So all you have to do now is add up your totals. And I always like to add twice. I come up with a total of $2,542. And that is correct. So if you made it this far in today's video, make sure that you like my video. We are going to be doing our final step right now, and we want to know exactly how much we have left in our regular checking account once we allocated this amount of $2,542 into our checking or savings account for our upcoming April bills. And that is so easy to do. To give another visual of what I'm referring to, let me just open my phone and go to my calendar. So we know we got paid on March 16th and we saved half of our bills on this day. Now we have to figure out how much we are going to have left in available funds to carry us to the next pay date of March 30th. So between March 17th and the 29th, we have to have money available. Let's just refer to it as spending money or available funds. That's super simple to figure out how to calculate. You're going to take your total bi-weekly net income and you're going to subtract it from $2,542 because that is money that went towards your April expenses. So minus 2542. Right, so I always like to round to the nearest dollar, so we're going to make that $450. Okay, perfect. Of course, this number, we are not going to deplete our regular checking account, so of course we're going to give ourselves a spending limit. And to figure that calculation out, you're going to take $450. And let's say we want to allow our spending limit to be $240. So you're going to subtract $450 minus $240. And that will leave us with an account balance of $210. So I will just say this is considered money available. $240 for money available for spending is a great amount. Think about it like this. On March 16th, you have allowed funds to be added to your new checking or savings account for your important bills. Want to pay on time? You do not want to incur a late fee. This $240 can be used for various things. Maybe you want to allocate some money towards a savings challenge. You want to have a no spend within that 2-week period. So you're just going to not spend anything. Or you're going to save potentially $50, $60 towards an upcoming vacation. I would definitely just monitor your spending. I believe $240 is definitely a realistic amount of money to have left. $210 is a great cushion To me, $210 does give you that wiggle room to slowly but surely build up your regular checking account. It may be even higher than $210 depending on how much you spend within that 2-week time frame. And just because you have the money available doesn't mean you have to spend all of it. Remember to buy smart. Buy things that you actually need. And it's okay to buy things that you want as well. We want to enjoy life. We want to be happy. Have more due diligence when it comes to thinking about where your money is being spent at. If it's something that can wait until your next paycheck, maybe it's something you can save towards, then I would go that route. All of these expenses will eventually vary for the most part. Your phone bill may be lowered because you switched to a different carrier. We know that our credit cards are eventually going to be paid off. It's going to be more money in your pocket. You'll be able to save potentially in another retirement account. Save in this account that you open. You can save more money. Maybe you're saving towards a house. We know eventually your car payment's going to be paid off and your car is going to be paid in full. Your student loan is going to be paid off. Car insurance is going to be paid off within the next few paychecks. The half payment method, if you write it down, is a great visual to see where your money is going, and it establishes a plan for you in the future because you are seeing exactly what is being deducted, and you're going to be seeing these expenses go down eventually. And of course, I mentioned food, eating out. If we could get that a bit lower, maybe $85 as opposed to $115. If this amount is lowered right here, then the more available funds you will have over here. Also wanted to add that, of course, you're going to repeat this method when March 30th comes as well. When you get paid on March 30th, you already know what you're going to have to allocate to these accounts right here for April. Your May bills are here. You're going to do the same thing. You're just going to go and write down your next bi-weekly paychecks and then the allotted expense amount for that paycheck. You're just going to repeat the process that I showed you here. It's super simple, just to make sure that I'm making myself clear. Our next pay date is going to be the 13th of April and the 27th. So the 13th and the 27th, we are going to save towards our upcoming May bills. You're going to do the same exact thing as far as writing down your net pay, your part-time job income, and your current account balance that you have left over. And that's just going to keep rolling over. You write down your subject lines, the new bi-weekly pay periods, and all of your expenses. Divide that by 2 for the most part. Of course, some will vary. You're not going to divide your credit cards by 2. Well, if you want, you can, but in this scenario, I explained that we're just dedicating a certain amount towards the credit cards. I think that's pretty straightforward the way I explained it. Hey everyone, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. I've been utilizing the half payment method for so long, and I can truly say that I feel financially free and financially comfortable for my lifestyle. It matches my lifestyle. This scenario right here is something that you can just use as reference, but take the time to write down your expenses, your upcoming expenses, and try the half payment method. If you do, make sure that you comment down below and let me know how it turns out for you. The half payment method, I believe, will definitely allow you to feel less stressed about expenses, and you're going to feel more comfortable with your budget. And it's a great way to just become more disciplined when it comes to budgeting your money. Everybody is going to have a different scenario, so it's not really about comparing your money to others because everybody has different expenses. I definitely feel as if the half payment method will allow you to have more control over your finances. You'll see exactly what your expenses are because they're written down. It's quite hard to remember all your expenses if they're not written down in a budgeting binder or just a simple plain piece of paper. The responsibility of paying bills can be easier. It takes time, effort, planning, and the main thing here is just to know what your limit is, basically. What your limit is as far as available spending amount. A lot of times people overspend because they don't have an amount in mind. They're just like, okay, I have this amount available. Let me just spend whatever until I get paid again. And that's when you find yourself with $80, $50, or you may be even in the negative because you're not figuring out your available money that you are allotted for in order to sustain yourself. The half payment method will eventually allow you to hopefully increase your money in your checking or savings account. Hopefully you are going to be saving more money into this account on your own. Maybe you'll dedicate another $25 to $30 in this checking account to see your increased savings. I really do think it's a great idea and to give it a try. It's a great way to effectively manage your money, and it's not going to feel as hard because you are splitting your expenses up within 2 pay periods. That is going to allow for effective money management, and I think you can become very successful doing it this way. Again, this is your girl Paris, and I've shared with you all today the half payment method, my preferred method of budgeting for my expenses. If you like today's video, make sure you give it a like, comment, and definitely subscribe to my channel for more upcoming videos. I love you all so much, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye. I'm out.